Homesteading is a way of life long past being the norm, but like all things, it is making a comeback and I am here for it. Now, you may not be interested in homesteading, you may not have the time, the space, or the money to do it, but I think that everybody can take a little bit of this in what I want to call micro homesteading, small amounts, skills that are vintage skills, and use them to lead a more natural, more sustainable, more hands-on way of living. And I think that most people can do some sort of small amount of these ideas. These are valuable life, money, and sometimes just sanity-saving skills that I believe we are fast losing. And we are absolutely in need of making sure we learn them if we don't know them, and we teach them to the next generation. Before we get started on these 8 micro homesteading skills, or vintage skills if you want to call them, add to the list, what are some things that you think we need to bring back and continue to do on our own that will help save money? Put them down in the comments below. The first one I want to talk about is making your own bread. And trust me, I was extremely intimidated about this. I believe that I've mentioned on this channel how I was interested in doing it, but it was just so overwhelming to me, the thought of making my own bread, and I love sourdough bread. So when my friend offered me some of her sourdough discard to start my own sourdough situation, growing thing, I was like, yes, let's try this. And a couple of YouTube videos, a couple of Pinterest posts later, I am making bread that looks like this. Yes, out of this comes that beautiful bread. What you do is your starter continues to grow. So I'll put in, I know what's in this, which is the best thing. So what's in my bread? It's easy. Bread flour, spring water, and a little bit of salt. That is it, and it makes this most beautiful, wonderful tasting bread. And I love to also give it as gifts to people. But basically you can also, as you see right here, so I've fed this morning, and what it will do is, that's what the rubber band is for. This rubber band will actually show you where it was, and once it's more than doubled in size and is bubbly, you can use the top part for making your bread or for other recipes. You can look up on Pinterest sourdough discard recipes. I have made the most delicious cinnamon rolls by hand. Never thought I would be able to do that. Delicious. Blueberry muffins. I made cheddar baked biscuits. There are recipes galore for utilizing this little guy. I can start this at night and I can bake my bread in the morning, or as I did today, I created it this morning and I'm letting it expand and double today, and I'm going to bake it this evening. Sourdough is so intimidating for people who've never done it, but there are so many wonderful videos. You can make your own bread, and obviously you can make your own other types of bread. This is just the first one I have ventured into and I am loving it. Number 2 is one I am getting ready to try, and it is making your own soap. This is something that has gotten really big, and you can actually buy DIY soap making kits from some of the companies that actually also do candle supplies. If you have been around my channel, you know that I dipped into making candles as well. But these are great kits where you can make these beautiful soaps and just try your hand at it and see if you like it. And the best part about it is you're not having to spend a ton of money getting these beautiful artisanal, that word always gets me, artisanal soaps that you might buy, which is great if you're buying them off a small business, but why not try your hand at it yourself? And then you're also going to know what is in it. There are a couple of sites that you can look into getting one of these kits. I think these kits are great because you get just enough of the things that you need, plus you have everything you need to try your hand at something. And I also believe that these kits make a wonderful gift for the people that you know in your life are creative. A couple of sites that I have ordered things from in the past and I know seem to be wonderful places to get things. Always also check reviews on each item. One of them is makesy.com, M-A-K-E-S-Y. The other is candlescience.com. So check out those sites, look at their soap making products, ideas, kits, and see if it's something you might want to try to start doing. Since we are already talking about those 2 websites, let me tell you another skill that you can do that's super, super simple. And it's one that I got into a couple of actually in 2021. I wanted to start my own business doing it, and at the time, a couple of years later, things had just gotten so expensive with inflation that I didn't think I could do it economically for a business. But I still learned to do it on my own, and I learned how to do it with a lot of tutorials on YouTube. But it is making your own candles. I've got a lot more to talk about as far as other skills, but I figured I'd throw this one in here since we just talked about those two websites that you can order things for soap. So I made my own candles. I probably made well over 100 during the testing of them. The best thing about making your own candles is you can also get those kits. This is the one that smells like Christmas tree pine, which I absolutely loved. And you always have candles. Obviously, candles help if the power goes out. You got to be careful. It's a candle, it's a flame. Don't leave it unattended. You know, all those warnings there. But if you don't have a ton of battery operated things laying around, candles are just a vintage thing that people used back before they even had electricity, obviously, to be able to eat after the sun went down, or to read after the sun went down. But you could still use them in case of an emergency. You just want a little light, and also they're just beautiful. They're beautiful to be able to use, turn down most of the lights and just put one of these on if you're taking a bubble bath. It just does something to help relieve stress. So check out those sites as well. See if you might want to pick up one of those candle making kits. That's how I originally started, to see if I enjoyed it whatsoever. But also a great vintage skill to learn. Number 4 is cooking from scratch, which usually cooking from scratch, you learn from seeing. And if you're not seeing it, you're not learning it, because it is one of those skills that it helps to learn and see happening. And with restaurants on every corner, the grocery store aisles littered with prepackaged, pre-cooked, frozen, and processed food with 30 ingredients, 90% of which you don't even know what they are or how to pronounce them. Cooking from scratch has just gone away. At the same time, we have reached one of the unhealthiest times in our history because of what we are consuming and our body health. And it is literally killing us. Could these two things be related? I mean, most people with common sense and two eyes can see that these prepackaged, these pre-cooked, these frozen items, these things with 30 ingredients that we cannot pronounce, and our current health situation go hand in hand. One of the excuses for not cooking from scratch is that people don't have time. But then you look at the research behind how much time people spend with their head in their phones. No wonder they don't have time. They're just choosing to prioritize one thing over another. The thing about scratch cooking versus baking is it is, as I said at the beginning, a learned skill. So it takes more practice. Baking is more of a scientific thing. Trust me, talk about that bread earlier. Last weekend, I forgot to put the salt in, which it's 500 grams of bread flour and 10 grams of salt. So it's very little salt, but I forgot to put the salt in, and the bread still tasted delicious and very similar to if I'd added the salt in. However, it looked like a flat tire, basically. It did not rise the way it was supposed to. So here's the thing with cooking. If you don't have somebody who can mentor you, or you didn't grow up seeing cooking all the time, then start off with small things. Start off with recipes of making your own spaghetti sauce or salsa or tortillas, which is much easier than you might initially think. And once you have used these recipes over time, you will remember them. And then you will start to trust your instincts by adding different spices or herbs and cooking in different time, temps, and methods. Making food is fun and a creative outlet, and you should enjoy it. And most of the time, you will learn something along the way if you mess up or make a mistake, and you probably won't do that again. And very rarely is it what you make that is completely inedible while you're learning. Number 5 is to start a frugal pantry and build a modest stockpile. This is also just a great way to be smart with food costs for anyone, even those who are interested in these vintage skills. but having a great variety of shelf-stable supplies to make any meal at any time without needing to go to the store. This is a skill that was commonplace decades ago because the convenience stores weren't on every corner or 10, 20, 30 minutes away what they are today for most people. The further you go back in time, the less often people were able to go to the grocery store, so they had to have these stockpiles of items to feed their family. This is one way, again, to spend less. So you stock up on things when they are on sale. Therefore, you aren't going out and spending the top dollar on the item because you need it and you're completely out of it and you're at the mercy of it not being on that sale. Number 6 is one thing that I think is something everybody should learn because we all wear clothes, well, at least hopefully. And it's sewing, if you're crocheting, maybe even just knitting and creating blankets to stay warm. Yeah, you can learn these things on YouTube, but do you really learn them as well if you online than if you have somebody who's hands-on teaching you that can show you hands-on how to do it? In my opinion, there is zero substitute for hands-on learning. So practicing. If you can find somebody who can teach you how to do it, if you can go to a sewing store, which there are so many out there, you just have to kind of look for them. And sometimes they will hold classes. I know some of the bigger craft stores also have these too, where you can hands-on learn. And not talking about creating your own clothes, which some people will say it's too expensive now to sew something, create something to wear versus buying it new. True, but I'm talking about things like maybe just tailoring your pants. Maybe you've lost a little bit of weight and cinching in the waist, or you bought a pair of pants that you absolutely love. They're just about a 1/4 inch too long, and learning how to hem those up. And this is also mean you don't have to take and do big projects. You can go and buy some sample pieces of fabric, such as like in the clearance bin, the end rolls that they have at big discounts, or you can even go to some of the thrift stores where they have bins full of things that are clearance on their way out. And find wonderful pieces of clothing. You can find jeans that you can sew into making oven mitts. You can take your kids' clothes that they've outgrown and create a beautiful keepsake blanket that will keep them warm, and you can see the memories in it for years that you have with those clothes that they wore, and they can cherish it forever. Number 7 is gardening. And when I say this, inevitably I get a comment about it's too expensive to do, or I don't have any room to do it. Well, I have a few rebuttals to those excuses. Have you been to the grocery store lately? The produce there isn't cheap. The fresh herbs there are not cheap. Seeds are cheap. Also, don't you think that growing your own foods is healthier than eating some of the foods that you buy at the store, inevitably saving you money in the long run on your health? As far as not having room, have you been on Amazon lately? They have created so many, not Amazon, but people have created so many cool things that you can buy on Amazon or other places that can help you grow things even just on your patio or in your kitchen window. Whether it's just, even if you only create or grow tomatoes and a few fresh herbs, it's going to help you substitute or some of what you buy out. You're going to eat a little bit healthier because you know what you're putting into it. You're getting it fresh from your patio or from your windowsill, or if you are able to put a little garden outside, and you're going to supplement that with the things you have to buy at the store. So you are going to inevitably save money on groceries. And number 8 is one that seems easy to do. And it seems obvious that people should do it, yet it is becoming more and more commonplace that it is not done, and it is called living below your means. In a time when you can find an item for $20 and make 5 easy payments on it, it is not happening. And I have comments about some of my videos, people put, well, this information should be common sense. Well, is that the case? Is it common sense? For instance, common sense would be if a car is coming, you don't want to step in front of it. You can common sense see that it's going faster than it needs to be. But then why do we have to teach kids not to step in front of a car and to look both ways? You have to be taught these things, and people aren't being taught. They're being sold to that you can take out a huge amount of debt. It's normal, it's okay, and it's weird to be looked upon or when you come to a car dealership, or you come wherever with cash, you go buy furniture with cash and you decline the financing. That is what's weird to people nowadays. So no, it's not common. If it were common, channels like mine and channels that are way bigger and have way more views wouldn't be as popular. People wouldn't be trying to learn this stuff. Living below your means forever ago, the vintage skills were something that homesteads and most people had to do because they didn't have the availability of this debt. It was a requirement. So it is a skill that we have to continue to teach and learn. Don't forget to put what skill you think we're losing, that we need, that might have something to do with helping create your own sustainability. You are creating something yourself. You are learning a skill that is needed in life. I hope you have a fantastic week ahead, and I look forward to seeing you next weekend for another video.